Everybody is here, so I think we are ready to start. Okay. You all set, Sue?
Yeah, Anne's not here.
Anne's not coming. She contacted. And Drew also reached out to me and said he wasn't sure he was going to be able to make it. He was running late. Okay. So welcome to the Newmarket Conservation Commission meeting of January 10th, 2019. And we'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. So we start with roll call, Sue.
Patrick Reynolds.
Present.
Chris Blackstone.
Present.
Mary Ann Hannigan.
Here.
Sam Kenny.
Here.
Melissa Sharples.
Here.
Casey Finch.
Here.
Sarah Finch.
Here.
Okay. We have no members of the public that I see tonight. Did everyone get a chance to look at the minutes from the meeting on December 13th? Any changes or edits? Additions? Okay. Do we have a motion to approve the minutes?
A motion to approve the minutes.
I will second that motion. All in favor?
I wasn't here.
Okay.
501.
Do you have a spare agenda?
You can look at mine. Actually, we might have some down there. All right. So we're going to move along. We have got Jennifer, and I'm going to ask you to go ahead and approach the podium and just tell us who you are. This is regarding a wetlands permit for the McAllen Dam Rehabilitation Project. And so we're going to have a presentation on that to start the meeting.
Okay, for the record, my name is Jennifer Gravine, and I'm with GZA. And I'm here to talk about the McAllen Dam Rehabilitation Project. And so myself, I'm the project manager on the permitting side of things. And Todd Munson is the project engineer on the project from GZA. What I'm first going to do is hand off some plans so that you all can follow along, because I wasn't sure if it was going to really show up on the screen very well. Given that these are engineering plans, they can get a little cluttered. So.
And just to be clear for those of us on the commission, the question for us tonight is this is a DES wetlands permit that is associated with this project. So the question before us is really that permit. It is not, we're not being asked to comment on whether we are for or against the rehabilitation of the dam or anything else related to that. It's just in regards to the wetlands permit, just like we typically would review for other projects, just to be clear about what sort of our area of expertise that we're being asked to comment on tonight.
All right. I think I'm going to take this so that way I tend to walk around. So. Okay, so I think this is on, yes. So I'm just going to go through a really brief presentation of the project itself. So as I said, it what I'm presenting on today is the McAllen Dam Rehabilitation Project. Going to briefly go through the project need, the work proposed, the anticipated schedule, the wetland impacts associated with the project, and then a brief summary at the end. So the project need, this proposed work is required for the rehabilitation of the existing dam. The town of Newmarket back in 2010 had received a letter of deficiency from New Hampshire DES, and that letter of deficiency identified specific areas of the dam that needed to be rehabilitated in order to increase the dam's ability to safely support the flood flow of a 100-year rain event, which currently it does not safely. And this photo actually here is from, I don't know if you remember the Mother's Day flood from 2006. Yes. So the proposed work has 4 main components. The first is the construction of the new concrete outlet structure. Let me just close that. I don't know what that means. And that would be where the existing gate structure is. And then also, in addition to that, included with the new concrete outlet structure, there would be a new gate to increase the hydraulic capacity of the dam. The second is rehabilitating the left and right training walls to address structural deficiencies. During the dam inspection, there was some crumbling of the wall itself below the water line. The third is the slight rising of height of the right abutment embankment to increase the impoundment capacity. And that's located on the side. So if you're looking downstream, it's on the right. It's the parcel adjacent to the Durham Book Exchange, just for your reference. And then the last is construction and new armoring of that right upstream embankment. So as part of getting the dam back into compliance in DES's eyes, they do need to rise the wall, and therefore they need to armor in the water in order to support that load and also address the deficiencies that are already there. The proposed work is scheduled to be completed in the fall of this year. So specifically, as Patrick articulated very well a few minutes ago, we're here today for a DES permit application. It's a major impact project based on the fact that it has greater than 200 linear feet of shoreline that's impacted. All of the shoreline that's impacted was previously impacted with the dam installation or various improvements back in the day. There is 2,000 square feet of permanent wetland impact in the Lamprey River, and then there's 810 square feet of temporary wetland impact, and there's 4,790 square feet of buffer impact, and that's, town of Newmarket 50-foot buffer impact. So there's several pages that I gave to you in your plan set, but page 8 is a specific plan in reference to the wetland impacts and where they actually occur. And there's different shading associated with it. The permanent impact is shaded in gray, and then there's various different types of hatching for the temporary wetland impacts. So this particular hatching over here, actually I have my laser here. It doesn't work on a screen. Okay, never mind. So this particular impact is associated with the water control that is required for the project, so the temporary cofferdam to allow for the work to occur. This stone would be permanent within this area. And then this is the area of buffer impact where there would be that rising of the grade for the embankment on the right side. Durham Book Exchange is right here. And then looking to your left, if you're looking downstream, here's the dam itself. That's where the replacement of the concrete structure would occur, as well as a concrete pad over here and some additional just repointing of the existing concrete in this area. And then creating a gate vault essentially for, since it's an automated gate that they're proposing, that would be installed right there. So, in summary, the proposed project is to address safety concerns identified in the letter of deficiency from DES. Wetland impacts have been minimized to the extent practical in order to address the deficiencies of the dam currently. And the proposed work is within areas of previous disturbance of the dam. So that's it. That's all I have for the presentation, but I'm happy to go through the plans and address any questions or comments that you have.
So this project would be completed in the fall, I believe, is that right? So you would draw down the water in the fall to complete the project?
Right, so the drawdown wouldn't be the entire time of the project, but August through October, essentially,
And
is the duration of the project. The drawdown would try to be minimized to like 3 to 4 weeks.
3 to 4 weeks. And you would did you say you would put in a temporary cofferdam? Is that what you said?
Yes. So the temporary cofferdams would be on either side of the work. 'Cause there's no actual work on the spillway itself. However, we are in constant communications with New Hampshire Fish and Game. We've been in communications for months now, and we're trying to negotiate maybe a full drawdown, phase drawdown for just a limited period of time. So we're still negotiating that with Fish and Game.
And is that because they're concerned about the effect on the fish and wildlife in the river?
No, the drawdown and trying to get a consensus on that, and we did get a verbal from Fish and Game that they were okay with this, is because then it's easier to keep the work areas dry if you do a drawdown. You would still have to do some sort of a cofferdam
Right.
on either side, but it would be minimized.
Did you have a pre-application meeting with DES?
No, we did not. It's required if you require mitigation, which this project does not, so unfortunately.
Do you know who's reviewing? I don't know who's in this area.
Oh, Stephanie?
Stephanie?
Yeah, Stephanie is reviewing it.
Any questions about impacts to anything?
Is there any potential chance of overtopping with the cofferdam when it's going in? I know you're mentioning a drawdown. I mean, what is your plan in terms of construction methodology? Not doing it in the wet or the dry, but sort of a drawdown, like leave 6 inches, a foot, whatever it ends up being.
Yeah, I think the key, and again, unfortunately, the project engineer could probably speak to this more technically.
Okay.
But really the key is to get a good seal, and with the proposed work, we will be able to do that with the cofferdam. It might be a super sack cofferdam, or it might be a sandbag cofferdam, but either way, we'll make sure that it doesn't, I don't think there would be a chance of overtopping. I would hope not. But that's like the whole point of the phase drawdown.
Sure.
I forget what page it is, but I think it's page 7. It actually talks about the phase drawdown to kind of slowly do it to try to minimize what your concerns are. Yeah, it's actually page 6, and then an overall erosion and sediment control plan is on page 5 as well.
I'm really happy that you're gonna be able to do this.
Really, yeah.
And you won't be able to help the fish ladder at all. I'm
Well,
assuming.
that's really one of the main reasons that, I met personally with New Hampshire Fish and Game. It was in August, So we did the delineation in July, so that's really when I started getting involved in the project. Todd's been involved for much longer than me. But the main reason why I wanted to engage Fish and Game early on was because of the fish ladder and any concerns that they had with regards to, the fish species and everything. They had 3 concerns which have already actually been addressed in the engineering drawings that you see here because of that communication that I had in August. So the first was to make sure that the riprap armoring would not obstruct the fish ladder, of course. Luckily, the timing of the work doesn't affect the fish ladder. It's closed in the fall, so good timing on that. And then the other thing was they were concerned with the raising of the embankment. They didn't want any obstruction of access to their fish ladder, and also that stormwater wouldn't be conveyed into the fish ladder, which we designed it as such that it kind of slopes down towards the river, and then also any conveyance from Penstock Way is diverted away from the project area. So no run-on would affect it. So.
Do you anticipate them requiring any specific turbidity monitoring when you do this? Let's say you got the curtain on the downstream side.
Right.
But they're not magic either.
Oh no, I understand that, and that's really where I know you're concerned with the cofferdam, so we'll make sure that is sealed very tight and everything. I don't, in my experience, I don't anticipate that they would require it, but again, it very well may be a condition of DES.
Sure.
Have you done projects like this before?
Dam projects, yes.
Yeah.
Yes, we have.
Where is a place that you have done one like this before?
Martin Meadow. Martin Meadow is in Lancaster, New Hampshire.
Uh-huh.
That was one that I did. It was a dam replacement project. The dam was in total disrepair. It needed totally to be redone and replaced.
Okay. I don't know if you'll know the answer to this. Is there any indication that there's other prior dam structures above the McAllen Dam?
Yes, if you look, actually, probably the best one to look at is the existing conditions plan, which is 3. You can call out upstream. There are historic timber structures from the previous dam. We have, we're in communication with New Hampshire Department of Historic Resources, and actually have an upcoming meeting with them with regards to the historical significance.
Right. Well, I noticed in your original draft you had included the report by Victoria Bunker.
Right.
And what I thought was interesting was that she couldn't find anything prior to when the McAllen Dam was built as far as specific references to a dam being there prior to that.
Right.
But there was a canal of some sort that was constructed.
Right.
Well, it'll be interesting to see if they find anything, if they...
Yeah. I mean, again, in the plans itself, you can see that, it's approximate where they're located. But unfortunately, I guess there isn't like a ton of information about that. Right, and of course, we wouldn't be disturbing that or removing that.
Okay.
We would be working around it. And that's kind of why it, if you see the riprap kind of is around where they're assuming the extent is.
Did you have to look at any of the sediment that might be exposed when you do the drawdown to see if there's any danger of that sediment causing any kind of contamination to the river? I've just heard, I don't know, exactly what the status of this sediment is, but I've
Okay.
heard that people have said there's dangerous sediment upstream of the dam that we need to be concerned about. And so I didn't know if you had to be, when you draw it down, is there some chance of that being disturbed and coming downstream?
Well, primarily the work that's going to be done, first of all, it's going to be dewatered entirely.
Right.
And second of all, it's really a replacement of rock on top of the existing, grade. I don't think there's going to be, or there will be minimal sediment disturbance associated with the project. It's more of shoring up what's there and providing additional stabilization through riprap.
Okay.
And also the concrete structure itself that's going to be replaced. I mean, that's all concrete. There's no soil base to that.
Okay.
So
Did you actually do any kind of testing of the sediment to determine if there was any?
I'm not aware of any testing.
Okay.
This type of project is very difficult, and it looks like what you have here is pretty well thought out. So
Thank you. I appreciate that. I'll also, thank you.
Government water control is a nightmare.
Oh, yeah, no. I will pass that along to Todd. I'm sure he'll appreciate that.
Any other questions that anyone has? Nope. Okay. So again, the ask of us is, support, then I would sign the permit and it gets expedited, because if we sign it, that sort of helps smooth the process, is the best way to describe it. So what I would ask of the commission is to have a vote to see if everyone's in favor or not before I do that. So I will start and say that I'd like to make a motion to see if the commission is in favor of supporting this wetlands permit.
I'll second the motion.
Okay. I will vote yes, that I'm in support of signing the permit.
Yes.
Yes. 4, 5, 6,
Okay.
6, 0, 0. Motion passes.
I think we're all set then.
Write your letter and sign.
I will write the letter and sign it.
Thank you. I
Okay.
appreciate it.
And the town council will be having a hearing on the 23rd of this month, just so everyone's aware.
Okay.
Of the bond.
Right.
I actually have one final question for you.
Sure.
I submit wetlands applications through my job sometimes, but then I kind of stop caring about them. Will we get a copy of DES's conditions letter that's issued to you? Is that part of it, or can we
Yes.
bust that?
Yeah. we'll get
Yeah,
it.
I mean, I'll make a note of that and make sure that,
We will.
you get a copy of the conditions as well. I mean, Diane Hardy will obviously have a copy of the conditions, the planning department. She's our point of contact, but I will make note and make sure that that's passed along to you guys.
I actually have a question too.
Sure.
And you may have already mentioned this, but how long will the drawdown take before you start work?
How long will the drawdown take? That's more of a Todd question in terms of how long the duration of the actual drawdown takes. I know that we're trying to minimize the amount of drawdown, so it would be limited to like 3 to 4 weeks. But in terms of how long it takes to get to the drawdown.
It draws down pretty quickly,
I
as I
would think it
recall.
would.
They can do it in like 3 or 4 days. It feels like they
Yeah.
can get it pretty low. I don't know if it's completely, but they when they've drawn it down in the past few years, it was pretty low by the time they were done on less than a few days.
Yeah. Good question.
I just wasn't sure if there's any less impact if it takes longer or, doing it quickly is like ripping off the Band-Aid or whatever.
Right. Any other questions? Okay. Well, thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Jennifer.
Thank you.
Don't forget to get your, yeah. Okay. So, treasurer's report. We still do not have a treasurer's report. I checked with Carol. They are still in process of updating their reporting and also hiring new folks there in that office. So that's impacting them. We did receive, though, and I don't know if I have a copy of it, but I would like to see if I do, a bill from Eversource and a bill from Marsh. I'm trying to think of the name of the electrician. It's a private electrician that did work.
Martineau?
Martineau.
Okay.
The Martineau bill, I believe, is around $2,700. That would have been related, though, to Heron
Correct. Yeah.
Point Gate. So what I would like to do, I know it's not more than $2,800. What I'd like to do, since I don't have a copy of it, though, is to make a motion that we approve paying up to $2,800 to Martineau Electric for the final necessary work that needed to complete the automation of the Heron Point Gate, so that we can get that bill paid for them. Do I have a second on that
I
motion?
second the
Okay.
motion.
So all in favor? Aye. Great. I will submit that to Carol, because I want to get that taken care of. The Eversource one, I think, was $200. I think that's already been paid, actually.
And that would have just been for the meter, because the meter and the electrical is hooked up.
Yeah.
But the rest of the work, in terms of the gate, has yet to be completed.
Okay, so all the electrical work is done.
Yeah.
What?
I'll clarify that. I'll double check, yeah.
The question was whether or not Conservation Commission would be paying the Eversource
Every month. Okay. Yeah, we need
I'll
to.
check with our facilities director. for
We need to
clarification on
clarify that. Okay. So, town council subcommittee reports.
I mean, really, I guess really the biggest thing is January 23rd, we're gonna have our public hearing on the issuance of $2 million in municipal bonds for the dam. So that's connected with today's hearing on the wetlands permit, but our hearing will be on the 23rd. So that's any public comments or anything, that's the time to come and attend. Yeah, that's the only really major thing on the radar right now.
Casey, is there gonna be anyone there that can answer, maybe Todd that she was referring to, the chief engineer? Is there gonna be people there that can answer questions that
Yeah.
are technical questions is what I'm
Yeah, we bring in.
concerned about? Cause
Yeah.
I did have some people approach me and ask me technical questions, and I didn't feel comfortable answering them, cause I don't know all of the work that's gone into this project. And so there were questions about, basically questions about the either or, right, of this scenario, and I didn't know any of the answers to the things that they wanted to know.
Yeah, we will certainly have, typically they'll kick off by giving the quick rundown, and then public comments can come after that. So we will have somebody on staff for that. In terms of building versus removal, process goes way back. So this is, town council before me prior had agreed to, the dam was the decision. So I guess it's really just what gets on the warrant is kind of this proposed version of it, but there was actually, I think, up to 7 at one point. So this is kind of the end of a long process. So this is kind of what the dam committee has put forward, and removing the dam was not feasible based on all the dam committee studies. So that's kind of where we are with that.
And I think it's like a lot of things is that until you have a warrant article out there, it's not real for some people, and so they
Yeah.
don't really pay attention. I know there have been a tremendous number of meetings and testimony and lots of things that have happened, but that's the sense I get in talking to a lot of people, that this is sort of just now on their radar because you've attached a price tag to it. And
Price tag, and then the newspaper reports on it, and that's a lot of people were hearing that for the first time, because it is a large number on paper.
Yep.
And then Exeter Newsletter reported it, so that's when people started really asking questions about it. So the hearing's a great time to answer some of the town end questions, the technical questions from the experts that will be available, and then for the public to have kind of their say before the council votes on it.
So in case I'm kind of new to what's going on with this process, but the dam committee ultimately made a recommendation to the town council, basically to get to this point.
Yeah, and removal was looked at too. And I know there's a lot of people in the town that have mentioned questions about why the removal is not an option, or not being seen as an option. The dam committee looked at it, and it just wasn't feasible for a number of reasons, including communities upstream and how much the dam has changed habitat, I guess north of the dam. So that was looked at, and that would have been, the price tag on that would have been, the estimates were initially between $780,000 and $1 million to remove it. This estimate currently is about 1.8. The bond's a little bit over, so yeah. So I guess that really what it came down to just wasn't feasible to remove for a number of outside factors. So yeah.
So encourage people to go to the 23rd if they want more information. It sounds like that will be the best.
That would be the best forum for it, because then you've got all the different voices can be heard, including the experts who are working on it, the engineers that have designed it. Dam committee, we have Dale Pike, our chair of town council, was on the dam committee, so that's where all the answers can get had, I guess.
Mhm.
So
Yeah, because I tried to reach out to some people just to try and answer some questions I was getting, and I got the sense that the state, from their standpoint, has sort of said, you guys have made your decision, and we're not going to comment on it anymore at this point, which I understand. They may have felt like they've gone through a full process with the town, and they don't want to be involved in it anymore, is sort of the sense I got, because I didn't know where else to go, and so I reached out to some people at Fish and Game and DES and those different places in UNH, and that was generally the response I got back, was that we've provided our information at this point, and we're not sort of ready to provide it another round of it to Newmarket. So I did want to do that, at least in case there was a feeling by the commission or other people that we should somehow provide more information, because it is in our, in our charter, one of the things is it specifically mentions, looking out for the watershed. So this doesn't get any bigger than what happens with this dam in terms of the watershed. So at least I wanted to make sure that if people wanted more information, that we could make it available to them. And there is a lot of information out there, I will say that. It's every year the UNH has a whole symposium just on the Lamprey River, and there are 8 or 9 posters done by graduate level professionals on the Lamprey River. So there's a lot of stuff that you can go out there and read, and some of it involves the dam. There is information out there from DES that you can also read about dams. So I would encourage people, as they approach this decision-making process in the town, to go out there, and of course to go to the hearing on the 23rd, or watch it on Channel 13, so that they're informed. Because I do think if it's simply presented as the choice between $2 million and I think people are saying this figure of $750,000, that's how some people will approach the decision. And I think that doesn't do it justice. They should look at all of the information that's been presented by the different groups that have looked at this, and not simply look at it as an either-or financial type of decision.
And just in addition to, I know it's complicated, I know it's expensive, but it's also not free to remove the dam. Obviously, there's a large price tag there, and the process does go back to 2010. So it might seem like a surprise, but nearly a decade has been spent researching, studying, looking at all the possible options. So we're just at the point that this is kind of where the path has led the town to, is this proposal that's going to be before the council on January 23rd. And before the town in March, potentially.
Right, so we'd have it on the warrant article would be reviewed on February 2nd.
And then March 12th is the town meeting day.
And then voted on by the town on March 12th. Okay.
Thank you, it's very helpful, informative.
Sarah, anything for the planning board?
Nothing for the planning board. Our meeting is on the 29th for January, and then December meeting I was not able to attend, so no information on that meeting.
Well, I can report for you that I think you will be receiving a draft of the stormwater updates.
Okay,
Stormwater
great.
plan, and that we did finish that today, that committee. They're gonna do a few edits that we worked on, and then that should go to you, because I believe the due date for that is not that far off,
Great.
really.
Yeah.
Okay,
great.
So you'll see that. Okay, so let's go through. We have some new things that came in today that I want to review with everybody. We received a letter from Fish and Game regarding the Dearborn property. Let's see here. Find it. So, as you guys remember, we received the Dearborn property, is that 3 years ago now, Sue? 3 years ago, as a legacy gift from Charlie Dearborn's estate, and we have been in the process of finally getting a survey of that property. And in addition to that, because Fish and Game owns a easement over that property, they also do an easement monitoring of it every year. And in their most recent easement monitoring, they found 2 issues, which they outlined in this letter that they sent me. one is a cutting of trees, believed to be coming from an abutting landowner, and they've given a location for that. And then the second is the paved driveway across 50 feet of legal public access off Grant Road. So when there was an existing house that was refurbished, redeveloped, rebuilt, I'm not sure exactly what all happened to it, and then sold, and then that road that was a dirt road to that house was paved. And Fish and Game has a position that that is an easement that was theirs, or part of the property, and so when that pavement occurred, that was not okay. So they will be coming to our next meeting to discuss these violations and how to resolve them. And that's what I'm going to ask, because they've asked that someone from town council be there. So makes sense, just have them come to the next meeting. And I'm going to also reach out to the property owner with the driveway and let them know that they'll have an opportunity to be at that meeting, and also reach out to find out about the abutter who may or may not have been involved in cutting the trees, and see if they know anything about that. And I'll pass this letter around so that you guys can see that. Any questions on that? Okay. The other thing we got was annually Southeast Land Trust does an easement monitoring for us on the Hilton Conservation Easement. Hilton Conservation Easement, the best way to describe where that is, it's if you know where the one side of be sort of where Shanda Drive is, and then if you're going away from town, there's the tree farm there on that same side of Grant Road. Beyond that tree farm, you can see a forested area. That's where that Hilton easement is back in that area. And so we have, as part of the easement agreement, has always been that CELT will do the easement for us, and so then they submit the bill. So I have a bill for $230.36.
You mean do the survey for us?
Yeah, easement, sorry, is that what did I say that?
That's okay.
That's what I meant. So here's a copy of that if anyone wants to look at that, and a copy of the bill, so you guys can see that. Yeah, I will make a motion. I just want to make sure everyone has a chance to see that we have that bill. So that is all, I believe, all of the new stuff that came in. So we can go on to sort of our older ongoing business. The Heron Point, we kind of covered that already. It sounds like all the electrical work is completed. We just
Fantastic.
need to know there's some mechanical work, I guess, that needs to be done at
Yeah,
this point.
more the gate in and of itself. So, so what I've got is power is 100% good to go. Materials have all been ordered, and really, as soon as our facilities director can get over there, he'll install it. He might wait on the vehicle sensor until things thaw in the spring, but it should be operational in the next month, according to our facilities director. We won't probably use it until spring, but
Did we plow that road?
we can request it, and that was something that we can talk about. We had kind of said. I think the anticipation was that we were thinking it would be reopened in the spring again.
Yep.
And then in my discussions with our town administrator, we can request that it gets plowed if we want to keep it open in future winters. But it doesn't look like this winter will make sense to.
Right. Okay. So when that everyone's had a chance to see that bill, at least, so we can send it back around, and then I'll make a motion on that.
Well, then with Heron Point too, there's gonna be a lot of need for spring cleanup too. Big branches down and everything.
Oh, the spring cleanup with Heron Point.
Yeah, because I've ducked in very briefly and had some pictures sent to me too about there's some pretty big limbs and stuff that are down, and just some other cleanup that needs to be taken care of. So I think that's probably why it would make sense to officially reopen in the spring once we've taken care of some of those.
Okay. All right. Photo contest.
I actually, if you wanna, I'll pass these around. I have a handout for item 5 and item 6. So this one is a handout about then I lied. This one's a handout about the photos, and this one is a handout for item 6.
So we've had 2 meetings, Chris and myself and Melissa, and we've accomplished quite a bit already in our 2 meetings and since then. I'm gonna let each person talk a little bit about what they've worked on. And so that you know, on my end, I have contacted the library, the garden club, and the historical society. So I'm very excited about this project as we move into it a little bit more.
Our thought process was to have people from the commission personally contact different groups. So, I would say put on your thinking cap and think, what constituency do I maybe have a connection to or can reach out to and let them know this is happening, to truly make it be as much of a town-wide event as we can make it. So Mary Ann already talking to some people sort of lights the kindling, the sticks are rubbing together so people will know and kind of be aware, like a save the date kind of thing, like people will know this is coming.
The bigger picture is really setting the stage with having a social media presence through Instagram, which Casey has already set up. I've got a Facebook group set up and ready to go. And then we had talked last time about options for looking at a website and different designs and things like that. In order to, the goal is to have some sort of marketing, a flyer or something that we can leave with retailers in the area and things like that. In order to do that, we need a narrative, which is written, first draft. If anybody wants to take a look at it and have some input, I'm happy to email it around.
That'd be great. That's awesome.
And let's see, I think that's it. That's all I had.
The narrative is item 1 under the landscape paper that you have goes with this. Those were the brainstorm items that need to be on the form. That's about what the people submitting photos are going to be coming up with or suggest, the things that I'm thinking they need to agree to and that we're agreeing to. Part of that is, you'll notice, where is this going to be? Well, the date we should start to pinpoint. The where it should be, our trio here would like to suggest, in fact, that we have it at the Stone Church. The reason there being, at this point in time, we have no idea, are there going to be 10 pictures or 80 pictures? And either way it goes, the Stone Church can accommodate us. I've talked with Cheryl about it. I also talked with the mill about it. The mill would end up costing us several $100s, and we don't know how many. It could be a cavern, it could be chock-a-block, we just don't know. Also, the mill would be 4 hours time, and we'd really have to negotiate a price if we want the exhibit up for a month. Our thought was the Stone Church can assign agree to let us have a month. Right now, we've tentatively thought about October, so we're not into the snowy weather, and announcing this as quickly as we can gives people an opportunity to get in winter pictures or snowy pictures or coming into spring pictures. So having something in October still gives us a bit of foliage in theory, but that's another question on this forum about the photographs to discuss. What's the time frame of people sending in photos? And do we really care how old the photo is? Do we sort of care? Should we care? We need to nail that so that we can get this form in place, and then we also should nail if it's agreeable to the commission to hold it there so that Cheryl can hold the October for us. The other piece of this is making it feel, tagging on to Casey thought about making it really feel like a community event. The Stone Church would then be, when we have an opening of the show, or the final display, or the culminating event, I think I called it on this form. People could eat, drink, and be merry there, and it's on the church. It's not on us having an event at the mill that, knock on wood, it's on us, whatever happens to the attendees there. So that piece is off of our plates entirely. There's something to be said too for they've also got an extensive network where they can advertise this is what's going to happen, and Cheryl's trying to do more with having artists, and their newly designed webpage actually has an artist page. Come see the art, or see an artist of the month page on it. So it kind of fits a lot of needs, I think, not the least of which is the liabilities and we talked about the cost. We liked having there be no cost to us.
We really like the atmosphere of the church, and we'd like to launch this in February, get this going.
And with, because we kind of mentioned the idea of maybe like a summer
Yeah,
get-together
that's right.
type thing.
Yeah.
I contacted Amy over, our director of Parks and Rec, and she's going to get back to me, but seemed like excited to find some way to collaborate, at least to help promote
Nice.
it as an outing, because again, it is kind of like a field trip, as what we mentioned. So I should know more within the next week, and then I can certainly pass that along.
Nice.
I like that. It's
Yeah, the
great.
community sense, 5.5, not yet to 6, but in some of the websites I looked at for other conservation commission that have been Patrick's homework to review some other sites, a few different towns have some kind of event where one town called it a passport event, and different commissioners or historical society people are at different conservation commission sites in towns, and then there's a certain day or a certain afternoon where you drive around and you can interface with somebody there who kind of gives you a little background and some history of that particular land or that particular farm or conservation easement, whatever it is in their town. So that's something that seems to be a good idea if other people are doing it. So, but wow, to have Park and Rec interested, that's really huge.
And we could call this,
Now.
the first Newmarket, first annual photo contest.
Yeah, you would think, first annual. And, ultimately, it really could end up, we should talk about this, one of the items on that form about the photographers is saying we'd like the rights to your photo. When your photo's in here, we'd like to retain those rights for 3 years. So it gives us time to think, do we want a calendar? Do we want it, have photos on a banner of the new website? Do we want to have photos, who knows what, done what with? But we'd like to have people understand that we'd like to do something with them potentially. Even if it turns out to be we're going to use some of this year's photos for the second annual on a flyer to advertise and promote. So there could be rolling over photos or whatnot.
So tonight, we just wanted to focus on where we were gonna have it,
Yep.
what people thought about that. And was there anything else we had to focus on for tonight?
Just really a status report, an
Okay.
update.
And if anybody else is of a group, a constituency, they could contact and say this is, like, serve as a liaison to another facet or another group in town. So as we get these flyers, you can help really go and one-on-one say, hey, here you go, this is what's happening in town through the conservation.
We have a lot, there's a lot here, but we also have like a Google Docs.
Yes.
So I was wondering, you can come on that as well, and we could all put our comments and
Yeah, if you
thoughts
wanted
and
to share
questions.
that with us, that would be
Yes,
great.
that would be- okay.
Did you give any thought to what the prize should be?
Yes.
Our prize money?
A little bit.
Well, a little bit. That's on the form too. In age delineations, did we want to say if you're, or grade level delineations? If you're in 8th grade and under, is that something you get because you
Category.
participated? Do we want to have, while the display is going up, do we want to have a People's Choice Award? So that could be something that attendees say like, oh, there's a standout for us. So we wanted to get away from first, second, third place. Prize could also be coming up with the calendar product, and so having, let's say there's, knock on wood, 48 entries, but 12 are full pages for a month, so there's a prize, you're a published photographer. We could do a month has 2, or a collage if it was really, let's suppose there's 14 entries. You can't say, here's the 2 losers. You can't do that. So,
Right.
how could we make collages that make sense, or how would we sort them out seasonally, or whatever we're going to do. So that we were hoping to have the group think here, say no, if you might have a strong feeling and say without a prize it's not interesting.
Yeah, we weren't really wanting to do a prize.
We like
Or
accolades.
an exhibit
Mhm.
versus a
Yeah.
contest.
Okay,
You see what,
Yeah.
I think that's a good answer.
yeah.
Somehow younger kids, I think, would respond to a thing that says you're in this show. Those could be very tasty. I mean, that could even
Right.
be a thumbnail picture of their picture on this thing that says you were in this show. So, that's something we should think about. But now that we know it's also at the Stone Church, we can also have there be, in a certain time period, not just that day, but people going back and forth and in and out of there could say like, oh, I'm gonna, that's a real winner, or that's something I really like. So we could still do something like that without it being like the traditional savings bond or whatever it is.
Right.
So, and this is just something that came to mind for way down the road after the event. Maybe reach out to the to NBA, see if there's some local business that would like to host the artwork after.
Yeah.
And then you could conceivably have those people's artwork is shown throughout town at different businesses,
Oh, that would be
and then you could denote where that picture was taken. So you see beautiful artwork, you're like, oh, that's awesome. Where is that? Oh, it's right down the street. It's at this location. So maybe if any business owners want to display that artwork for a month, a year, 6 months, whatever it may be, that would help highlight those properties and get people interested.
That's interesting you say that. I was wondering if anybody had connections to the Loft, that business space there that hosts those networking meetings for the business association and whatnot. I think the visibility is something that would make any photographer feel proud and happy.
Yeah, absolutely. And you could. I'm sure there's plenty of, especially our dining establishments that would they hang up artwork anyway. Sort of a nice framed picture showing a Newmarket location. That'd be kind of enticing. I would think.
Yeah.
And then as the time moves on, and we were thinking having one of us would be at each place, like if we had one day to I don't know.
And maybe during the summer event, the
Yeah.
tour time, whatever we want to
Right.
call that,
Have a
to have
commission
people at.
person at each different property to talk about it maybe. And I don't know, a lot of fun things.
I think those are some great ideas. I think the Stone Church sounds good to me.
Oh, good.
I'm
Does
I'm
me do
fine
too.
with that. I
Oh,
mean,
good.
I like free. Free is good. And I like the fact that we're just using this space to present the stuff. We're not charging people to come in or doing
Right.
anything like
Yeah.
that. So it's not it's not a commercial activity on our part.
It
I
also
think that,
gave us the chance to really think about something that will come through the work that Melissa's doing with the internet site about it. Where do the pictures go? And if it's on your landscape printed form, one of the items in there is for us to determine certain day. Here's when your picture should come to us already. It's on you, the artist, to get it in an 8x10, let's say.
Mhm.
Just print it out. Staples on your own printer, whatever you do, and matted. We thought they should get it 8x10 and matted.
So basically, flood of emails, submit your photos, we take a look at them, decide what, should be displayed, and then get back to the artist, and they print it, they mat it, and get it to us, and we'll get it up.
Do you have the Facebook page on your computer so we can pass it?
I'm not on the
Or maybe send a link to
Oh, that's
the
right.
email.
Yeah.
You can do a reply
it's
all
great.
to my,
Yep.
one of my emails if.
Yep,
if-
I'll get
and-
everybody invited. I
Yeah.
wanted to have a few more images first.
It's a
Yeah.
photo she took,
Thank you.
and it's lovely. It's really
Um,
nice.
We can share some of those photos from Serve
Yeah,
Liberty.
Yeah,
Yeah.
The goal initially, I think initially I was thinking, I'd love to have representation from each of the properties, so that once it's launched, everybody knows exactly where they are, what's there, so, and I didn't wanna pull anything off of the internet or anything like that. Do we have images of all of the properties? Otherwise I'll go around.
So we
I mean,
can,
that's
we
part
can
of
have
our
another little
incentive.
meeting.
Yeah.
Like, have a little field trip.
Because we
Yeah.
wanna do a better job of having photos,
Yeah.
and, you know, and promote these places, yeah, so.
Okay.
And another thing for, Joe Public will figure this out, but, okay, let's suppose I'm in Boston and the contest is about the Boston Garden. It doesn't mean I stand here and have to get like every statue and the garden, It can be, I'm saying like, oh my gosh, look at this right here, just this little, fiddlehead frond coming up. That's okay, that's at that property. And that means you probably schlepped around more on the property than if you hopped out of your car and said, oh, nice vista, cling, and you got back in your car again.
Right.
So the landscape form, it does just say which property is this photo, and we're just kind of hoping that it was in fact a photo they took, and someone like Drew will say, wait a minute, there's no ginkgo tree at that front
Yeah, we were thinking
park.
it would be really good. Yeah. And then, the other piece too was trying to see if there was any historical information on the properties that the, Historical Society might know about, or just trying to find out a little, if there was any photos maybe, from
There's
way back, and
There's certainly photos from past monitoring reports that I can look through.
Oh, that'd be interesting.
But and there's files in the basement that do have some historical information about some of the properties. Like the Wigan Farm is probably the best documented, information. There's information a little bit about the family, the Wigan family, and then the fact that the property was owned by Carlton Fisk
I'll
has
have to
always
go
sort
down
of
there.
made
In
it
the basement.
famous.
Yeah.
Carlton Fisk was, most people know, is a big star for the Red Sox, and
Well, big star for baseball.
right, right, and so there is some limited information, but we could. The Historical Society might have more.
Yes, yeah. So I've
I'm
contacted
thinking of-
them and waiting to see, so, yeah, I think we're gonna have a lot of fun with this project.
I'm picturing maybe a handout at the different parks, different sites, and then ultimately that information can go on the web, with different pictures, nowadays photos, and then these little blurbs about each of the sites.
We
Little
could also,
trail.
with the kiosk, we could do QR codes that link back to.
I love the QR
Those are
codes, they're so
nice,
easy.
Nice and easy and don't take up
What
much
is it?
space and they're not too distracting, so that's a possibility.
That would be
What
great.
is it?
A little it's basically a barcode and your cell phone can detect it and
Oh.
it will send you to the link or send you to the trail map or things like that. So without having to take up too much space or leave papers out, you can just
Nice,
QR code.
save a tree.
Yeah. And the phone does everything for you.
So that's where we're at, so,
We do have another meeting scheduled,
yeah.
and at that meeting, we can fill in the blanks now in some of these items that are on the landscape form. And I guess my takeaway from tonight is to let Cheryl know that we are a yes for October. All right. And I think that was my assignment for tonight.
I
And
think the only thing I
Casey.
would like to catch up with you about is an official email address where photos can be sent.
Yeah.
I set one up, just
Well, the town's got a
Get
G Suite,
started,
so
yeah.
I'm just waiting to hear back, but we should be able to create an account that would be a town account that can be shared and also recovered if people
Yep.
come and go. So I think it'd be nice to have a conservation account, and that also gives us a conservation drive, so
Yep.
we can save photos and maps. So I've been trying to compile some in my town drive, but we can transfer those over
awesome.
to the
Great.
town one, and that way everyone's got access or whatever.
Great.
Nice.
So that'll be something for you two, and then you're still gonna interface and nail more with Park and Rec about something for July.
Yeah,
Is July sensible?
I would assume so, yeah.
Yeah.
So it would be, the initial email was about transportation and about also promotion, and I think both of those have a good chance of working out, because it is an
Wow,
outdoor
that's
type
fantastic.
Yeah.
activity, so, but I'll certainly follow up once I hear back.
Thank you.
And then I'll send the Google email out so
Cool.
people can know how to get on Google Docs.
Yep.
Because we had some other questions too. You know, we didn't want to do everything, so we wanted to let you help do things too, people.
So you'll send out the narrative, like,
Yep,
what are we
I'll send out the
celebrating here with this?
narrative and
Okay.
Anybody can tweak it.
Yeah.
Just took a stab at it.
Oh, that's a good point, yeah.
Very
Sounds like you guys have done a lot of work.
Yeah, you guys
we
have done an
have.
amazing
We
job.
have.
Thank you so much. I'm so excited.
I know,
Was-
it's very
was it-
exciting.
It's-
Were we talking about the website stuff?
Yeah.
No, next year we'll have
That's
the
a good point.
Came up with a
state
couple of different,
conservation
so
meeting.
we
We're
were
gonna be up
basically
there.
saying, just look around and see what you like.
And then we had, the last thing we have on the agenda is to talk about the website updates, and I really appreciate Chris sending out her memo to us. I also went and looked at I looked at Conway, New Hampshire's. I tried to do sort of the four corners of the state. So I
Ah,
said
okay.
Conway, Madbury, Hanover, and Peterborough. Just sort of randomly picked places. And the things that I liked, some of the things that I really focused in on were just sort of really brief kind of mission statement saying, here's what the Conservation Commission does. We have a nice sort of preamble that's more related to the RSA that we currently exist under, which is good, but I also think it's just nice to just put it sort of more in layman's terms, which I saw a lot of the sites did, which, real simple language, just say, hey, we're here to, conserve properties within Newmarket. We also monitor and maintain the existing properties. The other thing that I liked was sites that had a list of their properties with links to the trail maps. So that would be another goal that I would see is, so we have all the properties listed, then there's links to, we have 3 that we determined. I was talking to Casey about this. So we have Pecastic Loisel, obviously has a great trail map that Ellen Snyder made for us. We have a trail map for Wigan Farm that was existing, and we thought we had another one. We have a map of the entire town with all of the properties listed on it that is currently on the site, if you've noticed that. So those are the 3 things that we have. What I would suggest is we also maybe pay to create a map for Heron Point, since Heron Point,
Oh, good idea.
as part of its sort of grand reopening, would be nice to have a little trail map there. A lot of the other properties are trailless, and they're not designed to have trails
Right,
on them. So
right.
I don't think we're going to have a trail map for every property. I just think at least listing where the property is and where the access point is, because people have the right to walk around in there. And Neal Mill Road, I thought we could link to the CELT map, because CELT has a map that's comprehensive that includes
Oh, I didn't know that.
all of the property that they have trails on, but it also shows how it links up to the Rockingham Trail. So it's a great complex of trails back there. So that was my thoughts, and I think Chris has got lots of other good notes on hers.
I think it's cool that I focused on ones that had to do with the lampreys that'd be like us, and you picked the 4 corners that'd be like, okay, so here it is from macro to right here. That's awesome. And we didn't talk about that. That's how we did it. That's
Yeah.
cool.
I poked around and was just looking at things from a usability standpoint. And Exeter does a nice job. I'm not sure if anyone looked at that. But they have images in thumbnails on the front page, on the landing page. But then those link to clickable PDFs, so people can go around the trail maps and stuff. And Bear Paw has a nice site too. So all of their headers or drop downs and things like that, it was just really easy to use. That's bear-paw.org.
Yeah, and even the three maps that we have, I shared with some of the local town social media and on the Instagram page we set up. People were so responsive because I don't think a lot of people were aware. So like they were pretty stoked, and people were saying, "Oh, we're gonna go hit this trail today or this weekend, whatever." So it'd be nice to get maps of those
Yeah.
sites. For
What's
sure.
the Instagram name, Patrick?
Just
PC.
Newmarket Conservation.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and then we could have links to the social media sites too on there, so the landing page would have, I just don't, I mean, and we'd wanna have our contact information, right? So I think right now there's only links to 2 of us in there on their emails. We should have
Yeah.
all of us on that landing page. So the current members, email, contact information, property information, and then, like I said, just a simple information about what's the mission and purpose of the Conservation Commission. So, I guess my question, and maybe this is a question for Casey, do we have any resources through the town that we can use to just have them work on redesigning the website for us, or do we have to pay, or?
We are contracted in with the website company that we currently have. So if we wanted to make it more fancy, we might have to do a separate one that the town links to or forwards to, because I asked about that too, because I don't think it's very user-friendly, the entire town website, but we're contracted in for a bit. So that's part of the issue with usability on
So
that.
can we pay even that group that we're contracted with to make changes?
We can edit and make changes on our own if we want to. It's just not gonna look perhaps the way we want. But we can certainly add links and photos and stuff. But we can edit it as we see fit.
Oh, we can?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I can follow up with Steve and our tech department just for the process behind that. But yeah, we're able to make adjustments.
Okay. Well, I don't feel that strongly about having it be super fancy. I mean, that would be nice if it was, but I can get, I'm more just concerned that it's user friendly, that people can find information about what we're trying to provide them.
We can do that in-house for sure.
Yeah.
And we can definitely we can easily add a lot more information that would meet the same objectives that we hope to with some photos and some maps and some whatever maybe contact information. That's easy enough to do. But I can certainly get the details on that.
Does anyone, the only person I know who's made maps for us is Ellen Snyder, so I can reach out to her, but I know if we were going to contract to get maps made, we'll need multiple bids. Chris, do you know anyone who is in that? Or
All I
through
know
LRAC?
I have
Where do
been
they-
inundated with map information at the last workshops I've gone to. The clicky things that you can do, you can find out where was there once a drop of rain on your property. It's crazy what's out there for maps. And interestingly enough, I would ask Ellen as well. That would be my go-to for this because of her connections to the DES as well as the floodplain workshop, Floodplain 101 or whatever that I just went to. Mike Hoffman was there, interestingly enough, too. And Durham is having right now, UNH is having a maps for the town, what do they call them? Not town administrators. Are you involved in your municipality? Blah, blah. There's a map workshop for people involved in municipalities coming up. So that's more like how you would click to go find what am I looking for. That
Right.
doesn't mean that you're going to be able to, but those could be maybe links that we want to maybe have some of those be links of things that we're going to use. Or you mean maps, like you want to see like a map of so-and-so
Well, I just-
acreage.
yeah, I mean, I really liked the one that she made for Picasso Loisel, and I just think it's the right level of what we need. It's pretty simple.
I like the level of where
Yeah, it's pretty straight. You can use it. You can, and if it's in a PDF, I'm fine. I don't want to print. We used to print out maps, I think, at one point and keep them in the town office, and I just think it's better. Put it on a PDF on the website. If someone wants to print it out, they can. But
Yeah.
if they want to pull it up on their phone, they can do it that way.
Yep.
And there's just much. It's more user friendly, I think, for
Yep.
people. So. Yeah, because I mean, I've gone to the workshop too on using the granite system, and
Yeah.
and you're right. There's 8 million layers out there, and
Yeah.
I'm just not a great map maker. I don't really know how to combine them all into a good map.
Well, mine would end up saying like, "Where's the nearest chocolate bar?" You know, it's.
Yeah.
I don't know what to tell
There's
you.
a lot of information out there.
There's so much information out there. Do you want to interface with Ellen about that?
Yeah, I'll reach out to Ellen to see if she has. I'll explain to her and see if she has any other resources
she has
wants to
other
referral
ideas,
to
yeah.
them. Yeah, refer to us.
Yeah. Well, where do you feel like we're at with the web then? Is it Casey gonna find out
Yeah, I can
what we can do
Take
through
care
the
of that.
town?
Yeah, because I'm also in the process of getting the whole email/drive set up for us. So I just kind of added onto that.
And then once we did that, maybe we could just come up with I'd be happy to bring to the next one at least a draft of what it could possibly look like in just plain Jane format, what my ideas are. I think the big thing would be just word crafting. What do we want as far as a mission statement or purpose that we want to put on there? Again, we can leave what's on there now. I encourage everyone to go look out there and see what it says now to see. If you just go to the site, it takes you right to, conservation commissions. It just starts in conservation commissions in New Hampshire are guided by RS 36A. To me, that's a description of conservation commissions. It doesn't really welcome you to the Newmarket Conservation Commission. I'd like to have something that reflects a little bit more about, hey, welcome to Newmarket Conservation. And
Welcome to Newmarket's important. I do think it's important to keep that other piece though, because it does remind people, don't come to us when you're concerned about how DPW is taking care of the median where the daylilies are planted that you like.
right.
People hear Conservation Commission and think right away like, okay, we're a Ground Zero Earth Day. It's good to have people realize what we can and can't do and what is our charge and what are our duties. I like it the friendly, humanistic, and then by the way, here's what we're really supposed to be doing.
Well, yeah, and that's why I thought both Conway and Hanover did a good job of really bullet pointing that out. This is what we do, this is what we're responsible for,
Yeah.
and it was pretty specific, and it referred to the RSA without coming off as
Clinical, yeah.
being overly,
That was the Conway one?
I think that was Conway and Hanover both had,
Okay.
I thought, pretty good, just, bullet points without going into, Conway's is very simple. You can tell, they didn't put a lot of resources into it, but it gets you where you need to go, and they've got some great maps on their site for their properties. And some of them just link out to, what I would call, they're the old style USGS maps.
Mm-hmm.
It's all kinds of different things you'll see on these sites because the state of New Hampshire actually has every town's divided up into little USGS map sections, so you can find stuff on that site too. If you ever want to, look at an old style USGS map of Newmarket, you can find it there. So I don't want to forget this. I'd like to make a motion to pay CELT the $230.36 for their easement monitoring of the Hilton property.
Second the motion.
All in favor? So I'll submit that to Carol. don't have anything else. Does anyone else have anything for tonight?
Yeah, I just had one small thing. Sarah and I got to do the easement monitoring at New Roots Farm back November 17th, I believe it was. I filled out the form and we just need to submit it. That's it. But everything looked good over there. It hadn't got a chance to hay. It was kind of an early snow this year, but other than that, everything looked great, and all the perimeter looked just like it did last year. So it was a nice little walk. No concerns or anything. It's fine.
Great, thanks, Casey. Thanks, Sarah.
And our dogs.
Hey, you still had to probably worry about ticks after that. That's the only problem. Okay. Nothing else? I will make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor? Okay.
Yeah, I just took a quick peek at Conway's. They've got a great list of a couple of simple